All right. Are we feeling good? Feeling ready?
Yeah.
I have
If I'm
never
doing the
been more
intro,
ready
I'm
in
just
my
trying to think,
entire
like,
life.
what is my first sentence? Uh,
So the church.
please, Jesus. I'm not starting with. We want religious people to be able to enjoy the podcast without getting triggered out of their timbers.
So these damn Catholics, they always keep coming
Ah,
in
don't even get me
with their church.
started on the Buddhists, dude. I'm so done. Like, we get it. Your mind is expansive. The universe is infinite. And so are the topics on the Boomits podcast. Oh my god! I'm not doing the Boomits podcast intro. Uh, Here we
Boom.
are.
Here we are. Here we are.
The Boomits podcast is expansive as the ever-growing universe. Probably, unless we're actually in a gigantic box and eventually the universe is just gonna hit the edges, explode, and we're all dead. You know, it could happen.
Who
Any
knows?
second now. Any
Scientifically,
any second now. It's
I feel like
oh
we could
god.
dispute that.
Probably.
Dispute it. Tell me where the parameters of the
None of
universe
us are
known.
astrophysicists, so.
Actually,
You don't know.
know.
Any astrophysicists watching the podcast, please tell me when it will end.
Universe.
I just got my vaccine this morning. My shoulder is like, it feels like it's over here. I'm so over it.
Which
Oh
one
my
did
God.
you? Which vaccination did you get?
Oh Jesus! I have a paper somewhere. It was like a P something or a B something. It was like five,
A
6
Pfizer?
letters. Yeah, P Pfizer.
Pfizer?
P Pfizer. Yeah, something like that.
All right.
Disgusting.
I don't know. Is that important? Should I know that? Probably. The lady, when she was telling me like the second dose, she was just like, this is probably this or that. It doesn't really matter. I'm like, great. I'm taking this very seriously. After you get
like Astra. That's very healthy. I heard.
There's like this section, like after you get the shot, that you're supposed to like sit down for like 15 minutes to like see if you have any
Yes.
adverse reactions or whatever. I just walked out. I'm kind of a rebel because I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so these chairs are like less than a meter apart. There's like hundreds of people sitting in them, and you just want me to sit there in this enclosed space? Like, aren't we trying to prevent the spread of the virus? Like, what? I get it's for
I guess
people
that
like
sounds a
old
little
people.
Anticlimactic.
people with
Holy
allergies.
shit! I never thought of that. Whoa, my third eye just opened. What if getting your shot, they're trying to make it spread by making everyone get their shot and then cluster together at the end.
What?
Oh my god!
How would that benefit them in any
Whoa.
way?
Whoa! To get more people to come back.
But it's
It
it's
makes
a
What?
free
sense.
service. They're losing
Yeah,
money
you
on
don't,
it.
and you can't come back if you're contagious or
Yes,
if you're
but the
active
people
if
that
you're
are
actively showing symptoms. Sorry,
Yeah, but the people that are making the vaccine, they're the
They're
ones
not
that
make-
are benefiting.
I mean, maybe.
It makes sense.
No, I think it's just
Third
for people
eye,
with
you need to
allergies, so that way they don't die. But I don't have any allergies, so I was over it.
Yeah, it's monitoring a couple things. I think if you're gonna have adverse reactions to a vaccine, it happens within the first 10 to 15.
Yeah. At least usually, like, it's not gonna like sneak
mean,
up
you
on
know,
you like the night
I hear that
after.
people like feel like they're dying and they have like the worst flu they've ever had after they get their vaccine shot. I don't know if that's everybody, but
Yeah, it's like
I've
different
definitely
person to
heard it.
person.
I think I've heard that too, but I mean, you can also replicate the same thing from a sugar pill.
Sugar
Oh,
pill.
can you?
Wait, you
Of
can
course.
replicate dying? Like feeling like you're dying from a sugar pill? What?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
intense, excruciating
Inject it into your
pains.
blood?
You can.
How?
No, it's just called the placebo effect.
Okay, yeah.
That's fair.
Our minds make it real. Like you can give yourselves headaches from a sugar pill, and like severe ones too. And like it's people will create this in themselves, and so when you're actually doing testing for like medication, you have to test for that exact effect.
Yeah. That's fair. I know I placebo
Yeah,
really
so you give people
hard
sugar pills.
sometimes. Like when I get a cup of coffee in my hand, I take one sip, and way before like the chemical reaction can even physically take place, I'm like, I'm alive. I'm ready to embrace the day. Like,
The human mind is insane. Like, for real. The things that our mind can do without anything actually happening is wild.
seriously. Like, so much of it is just in your head. It's hard to believe sometimes because people are like, we spend so much time looking for like solutions, but a lot of the time the solution is actually to just think about it differently, which doesn't like how like it's such a vague concept. Like,
You hate your life? Just think differently.
seriously.
Yeah, but
It's just placebo. Like, your body doesn't actually want to die. That's why your heart's still beating. Your body wants to cling on to life. It's just your brain is like, no.
Yeah,
Like, I
one
don't like
thing
Placebo definitely does have limitations.
Obvious,
Though. You
yeah.
can't placebo someone into like regrowing a limb.
Or can you? I don't know. I
No.
watch a lot of anime.
I mean, if you could, we would be using this all the time. But no, unfortunately,
Well,
you
maybe
can't.
it doesn't
does
work on
have
you because you
actual
don't
limitations.
believe.
I wouldn't want to tell that to anyone who's lost a limb.
That's fair.
That all they had to do was just believe hard enough, and that's why they don't have a limb.
That's
my
valid.
legs
like-
are gone. Why aren't you believing, man? Like,
I don't. I mean,
just
Yeah, I don't know.
believe
I just think it's it's a little unfair. It's like those ideas of like things where it's like, oh, the power of belief, the power of belief. But I'm like, you have to at least give some sort of limitation to it because you don't want to tell like an amputee that like, no, all you need to do is just believe, and it's like that's not fair and that's not
Yeah.
realistic. So I think the power of belief, don't get me wrong, has some great effects it can do, but I think it also has limitations that we need to acknowledge.
definitely. But I mean, that being said, there definitely are cases where like that happens because I think people know about the power of placebo, and then there's like treatments or more like maybe like cults or like things like that where they do just tell you like, oh, you have cancer, believe it away. And like some people actually think that that works, and like, I mean, maybe to a small extent it might help your immune system like kick into overdrive, but like, yeah, it's a far cry from helping or like solving the problem.
I mean, spontaneous remission is the
fine with-
thing. So how would you tell the difference between the two?
Seriously. I don't know.
Sorry, Andrew, what were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say like one of my favorite things like I've heard is for like mental like wellness is like it honestly is just thoughts because it's like I'm trying to remember the exact quote. I can't, so I'll just kind of get close to it. But it was like
Mhm.
everything you think, those are just thoughts. Why let those control you? Like once you start to let those thoughts become your reality, that's when they actually start to destroy you. And that's so true. Because if you're always thinking like, "Wow, my life's shit," you're going to eventually just be like, "Yeah, my life is shit." You're just gonna believe that. That's gonna become your life.
Mhm.
But if you're like, "No, my life isn't as bad as I think it is," and you constantly have that outlook, it's not going to be as bad. At least mentally.
Definitely. There's like a degree of like self-inflicted brainwashing that you can do that actually helps like a lot. Like, I suffer a lot from like self-image. I like do like a confident pose, look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. And like I feel better afterwards. Like sometimes I want to like collapse, but like you guys just saying it helps. Just get in the pattern of like thinking like a little bit more positive. Like there was a study that I read about a long time ago where it was a study on people giving like speeches. And they had people like do like this like sad boy pose, like, and then go and give the speech and like try their best. And they had people like do like a Superman pose and like hold their chin up right, and do it. And they had people like say like negative things about themselves before they did it and positive things about themselves before they did it. And like they actually like track like chemicals in the brain, and like the people who were like prepared and just telling themselves that it's gonna be good and like prostrating themselves confidently, like everyone in the audience said that their speech was better, like they felt better about it. The chemicals in their brain were literally just more positive, even though like all of them obviously they were told like try your best, just like do this. The only difference was their posture and the words, like,
And what they said,
yeah,
the way they seen themselves doing it.
it works. It fucking worked. Like, yeah, just you can force yourself to think things by just repeating it, or be more confident just by standing differently. That is the power of placebo, basically. Because if you think about it, nothing changed. Nothing changes except for the
Yeah.
result.
That's why monks are so great.
Monks
I wish,
are cool.
I wish I was a monk. Never let anything bother me.
I feel like monks, like they're just humans, right? Like things obviously still bug them. I feel like they probably just
Yeah,
get
but
like good internal systems for working that out, right?
yeah, of course. I mean, like nobody can just completely not be bothered by anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's how you deal with it that changes your outlook and like how you like even with monks, I'm sure I haven't looked into it, but I'm 90% sure that they just deal with it really, really, really well to the point where it looks like literally nothing bothers them. And that just becomes their lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that before where it's like it's not so much not feeling pain, but it's the idea of not showing that you're feeling pain.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, everybody's done that at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
try to
think so.
hide it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like
Definitely.
I've stabbed myself in the hand like right beside somebody and they're like, "You good?" And I'm like, "100%. Absolutely good. Let me just slip this new glove on. All right."
Easy,
So,
breezy, beautiful. I'm in pain.
Yeah. My hand feels like it's on fire, but nothing's wrong.
Yeah. It's I mean it's definitely a thing. Like if you were just like it's okay, I'm just in excruciating pain and I think I'm bleeding and this is going to be a problem. Like even though that's how you feel, saying something different probably helps you cope with it.
Yeah.
You know, take your mind off it.
It's getting infected by the second I can feel the bacteria. I'm gonna lose my hand.
I'm panicking, or at least I should be. I'm not, but I will be.
Everything's fine.
It's fine, probably.
They say you could always swear.
Yeah, swearing. Wait, why?
That increases your pain tolerance.
That's a thing.
Was it actually?
Yes,
Apparently.
it is a thing.
Why?
Like screaming
Why?
"fuck." That increases not only your pain tolerance but your stress tolerance. That's what I heard. I'm not.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. No, it's just a psychological release that engaging in the word fuck gives you.
Huh.
Thank you for specifying engaging in the word fuck. Not engaging in fuck. That would be a problem. Boomits podcast does not support engaging in fuck.
Not unless it's between two consensual adults.
Yeah.
Then go for it.
Anyway. We're all a bunch of mature adults here, you know.
Hopefully so. Hopefully so. This audience is meant to be an adult audience.
Yeah, if you're a kid watching, pathetic.
If you're a kid, get younger. Pathetic.
True. Yeah, honestly. Wait,
you're
if I
8,
Why
get
can't we wish
younger.
them? We should wish everyone to get younger.
if I look in the mirror
Yeah,
and tell
We
myself to
should
get
all
younger,
get younger.
can I placebo my age backwards? Dude, I feel like I'm 17.
Might be one of those limitation things again.
No! Damn it, you've ruined
No,
my
no, like,
placebo.
Yeah. You say you're 17 as a
I had it.
40-year-old
I
guy
had
trying to
it
date
too.
like a 17-year-old girl. You'd be like, yo, I'm 17 again. Be like, no, you ain't.
But maybe if you didn't
wouldn't
shit on his
recommend thinking
placebo,
that.
maybe it would work. Maybe his skin would smoothen, his hair would come back.
His muscles would start degenerating back.
Degenerating back?
Devolving.
What the-
Everything I said was like a negative. I don't know what.
I thought I was imagining like his muscles get like more youthful and like get like more and you're like degenerating, dissolving. It's fucking. Everyone knows kids are just
Disintegrating
like
out of his
liquefied adults, so maybe the solution is
they
just
kinda
pour
are.
acid on yourself. Boomits Magic does not support pouring acid on yourself for legal purposes.
If it's not labeled acid, though, it's fine.
Yeah, obviously.
It might help.
Hypothetically.
Just find the highest pH and pour it on.
Stop. I don't even
Yeah,
have.
we're not allowed to encourage
Listen,
that.
all of our viewers are very precious. We can't afford to lose them to Tide Pods. Not today, okay?
I'm sorry, don't do that.
Not like this.
But yeah, it would be
Uh-huh.
interesting if you could find a way to just pour something on you and it just changes your, youthfulness back. I mean, I'm 20, so I really can't say shit, but like,
mean-
of course, there are people that want that, right?
I feel like that's
You
literally
could
what the
make
beauty
millions in a
industry
makeup
is
company.
like trying
Yeah,
to do, right?
yeah, word.
They're failing.
Age-defying creams, just fucking. You're beautiful.
I don't know. I think Jennifer Anderson still looks amazing, but I mean, she can't barely move her face. So,
I
perks and minuses of Botox.
Yeah.
I
You
mean, if
tell
your
me.
face is like entirely plastic, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
If you replace all of your organic materials with something that won't change with time, yeah, it
Exactly.
works. It just replace your heart with a plastic heart, replace all your veins with metal arteries. Come on, just do it.
Don't we have plastic hearts? I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. But
I
like,
mean,
I feel like that's the thing.
They
with
are
human
like 3D printing like organs nowadays, right? I don't know what they make it out of.
being.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Oh wait, Will, I can't hear
I
you.
think they make it out of goo.
Goo. Are you serious?
What?
Some kind of goo.
Wait.
It's a non-scientific term for what's excreted from those 3D printers. It's some kind of goo.
Yeah,
Some
I
kinda
mean,
goo.
they probably just take like a similar chemical composition to what humans are made of. Like,
Doctor, we need some kind of goo now.
you're like, hold up, I got the
Or
silly
carbon-
putty.
They're failing.
I love it. I love it. Just like, yes, we have liquid human. Let's just excrete some out into a platter, grow an organ, call it a day.
Like space food, but organs.
Yeah, like space food.
It's like in Star Trek, they grab that little disc, put it in the microwave, bing! It's a fucking like 5-course meal. Except instead of a 5-course meal, it's a spleen.
Grow your own
Science.
human.
Grow your own human.
Yeah, like those chia pets.
Children's kids.
Yeah. No, I love that meme. They're like, oh yeah, they did surgery on a grape. It's like now they grew a fucking ear in a petri dish.
I love it. They
Don't
did
you
surgery
really
on a
get it?
grape was such a good meme.
I don't know how cucumbers would scream because like one, they don't have nerves
I'm
which could even
90%.
receive like the sensory information of pain.
You should
Like let
Google
alone
that.
heat and cold. Then they don't have a brain to then receive this, turn this
should
into
Google
some sort
that,
of
Will. I
emotional
feel like
response.
I feel like they do.
And then they don't have, let's say, the lungs, the vocal cords, or the mouth to then express some sort of vocal scream. It's
Google
like,
it, Will. You gotta Google it now. They absolutely scream.
Wait, the grapes scream?
Cucumbers scream.
I've heard of grapes of wrath screaming, but I've never heard of cucumbers.
I mean, some vegan told me
Cucumbers
that plants
scream.
feel pain, so it must be true.
That's right. But if a vegan sang it, I mean, I don't know.
Hey, what are you saying about vegans? Hey! Tofu
I'm
is the
saying
future!
I don't understand why they don't eat more of like mussels, clams, and oysters.
Well, those aren't plants.
No, they're not, but they don't actually have a nervous system that's able to feel pain in the same way plants don't have a nervous system in like that's able to feel pain. And so it's kind of the same as eating a plant, except it contains a lot of protein. It's completely like neutral. We can farm them incredibly like easily and in a way that's neutral to the environment. They're incredibly sustainable, and they also filter the ocean,
Well, I get what you're saying. It's like a
so
similar
they're like
argument
good for the water.
for like
Yeah.
why. Yeah. I just
And
think
like
a
it takes
lot
up
of
no space
people-
on land. We can just have floating barges that like feed people.
I mean, yeah, like I'm all about sustainable shit. I didn't know that, but it makes
Yeah.
sense because what do oysters do? The waves just hit them, and they grow, and it's food.
Well, they filter the water actually from like bad particles or like useless particles that like other things aren't able to actually digest, and then they turn them into useful protein for us, and it's a way to be like sustain our population while at the same time being environmentally not even neutral but positive. And so I'm like, why if vegans and they have different reasons for doing these sort of things,
Yeah.
right? But I'm like, if your objection is like, the pain you cause on an animal, these animals cannot feel pain, and you can show them that by like the simple biology of it, and then like, yeah, they filter the water and they're great for the environment for us to use. So I'm like, I don't know why more people aren't into it, unless of course their objection is taste. Like my sister's a
Yeah.
vegan, and her thing is taste, and I'm like, hey, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, it's personal preference. I mean,
Yep.
like, I think blanket terms and blanket titles in general are pretty not smart in most situations. Like, you can say, like, only plants, but then you're looking at, like, cotton where, like, so much fresh water wasted, or, like, some plants where it's, like, so much land is now, like, completely useless and destroyed because we grew certain plant there for, like, X year. I can't think of an example off the top of my head. And then you look at oysters, which, like you're saying, very sustainable, very good. It's like, I don't think everyone looks at it like that, though. A lot of people just want to identify with a title, and they're like, oh, vegan is good, plant is good. They don't look at case by case, filter through, and go, okay, these things are bad, these things are good. Like me, I love meat, but I try not to eat beef or cheese too much because cows, very bad. That industry is very bad for the planet. Like, to what degree is like very debatable, and I hear a lot of different arguments and numbers being skewed. But like, I might eat more oysters now. I don't know. I don't really like the taste, and we live in like a landlocked place where the seafood is kind of shit.
We live in
to be
a
honest.
we live in a hella landlocked place. Anything we're getting is not as fresh as it could be. Let's
There's
say.
this restaurant near me that's like best fish and chips in town. I'm just like, we live in fucking Alberta. How good could it be? Like, it's definitely frozen still. Like, it's not gonna be fresh seafood.
I
Sad.
think my
Also-
video might have cut out.
On,
Ow.
on the note of vegans, cucumbers do absolutely scream. When they're cut, they release a gas that is basically a simulation of an inaudible scream. So they 100%.
What do you mean? A release of gas is not a
It's-
When I open a fucking can of Monster, is that a simulated scream? Because gas
Yeah,
is coming
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've seen a dog do that in its sleep, and I'll let you know it's not a scream.
It is
That's
a scream.
breathing.
It wasn't breathing either. Yeah,
Farts are phony.
yeah.
Scream randomly throughout the day. Was that a scream I just heard? Was
Yeah.
Who is dying?
Yes. Who's yelling over
Oh,
there?
it's me now. Oh, Jesus. Maturity 100.
That's good.
Yeah. Don't eat beans. You will die every day.
Yeah, but you'll be screaming all night.
I don't know why that was so funny.
You will be engaging in the fuck word upon yourself.
So all right. What is this? What is this
Uh,
chemical that they release? Because
yeah.
you have to let me know. I love cucumbers.
I love
I put them in my
science.
salads. I eat them as a salad by themselves. They're awesome.
already
So what am I
closed the
doing to
Google
these?
page,
I like
so
pickles.
I'm
Oh,
not
no.
sure, but hold on.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Tell me why
Like,
eating
what am I
pickles
doing to
is
these poor
sin.
cucumber?
Ruin one of my favorite foods for me.
Well, what happens
Yeah.
when you dunk them in vinegar? Yeah, and ferment them for a couple months.
Yeah, do they like? Is
So,
that
like,
like a
those are
hot
good.
tub kind of euphoric
Ethylene.
experience?
I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but it's ethylene or ethylene.
Okay, I've heard of this.
Ethylene.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Why?
Yeah.
I've gleaned 0.
Yeah, I'm not a biologist.
What did we
I don't
expect?
know. Ethylene. Poor ethylene expulsion.
Word.
These poor
That's
people.
fascinating. Like, I think on like kind of the line of like veganism and like plant life, and then like like how you're saying like oysters don't feel pain and stuff. Like, I feel like plants like the Venus flytrap really make me think about things like that, because those are thinking plants. Those are plants that like seemingly like act knowingly. Like,
What do you mean?
it's kind of hard to describe. If you don't know a lot about Venus flytraps, you're like, they close. Big freaking whoop. But no, they can actually, like, detect what is inside of them. And then, like, the correct timing to, like, do this. Like, it's been proven that they actually, like, have like a thought process in like that regard. I don't know
What do
too
you mean by
many
thought
specifics
process?
about it. But yeah, they like decide. They're like, what is the weight? What is the mass of this thing? They obviously don't have eyeballs, but like, if they're really hungry and the creature's too small, for example, they won't eat it. They're like, this
Really?
is a waste of my trap.
Hmm. I,
It's
from
like,
my understanding of Venus
okay.
flytraps, and correct me if you've heard something
Hmm,
different,
hmm.
but they have two pads and a set of teeth, and on each pad they have three hairs. And so each time a hair is brushed, it sets off an electrical timer. And if a second hair is brushed before that timer has a chance to reset, in a similar way to our neurons, how they have that portion of like time they need in order to reset the kind of sodium ion or sodium and potassium ion balance. So it's this refractory period, basically, in order for this sort of sensory information to come back. And if the second hair is hit within that time, then the Venus flytrap closes. And it's more of a biochemical mechanism, which some could argue is similar to the way our neurons interact. And some could say, well, that's a form of thinking. And so I don't think you'd be wrong in that sort of analogy, but I would definitely say it's a lot closer or a lot more of a simple biochemical process that's involved rather than the complex neurology of like neurotransmitters and neurochemicals and stuff like that.
Did some quick reading while you were talking. I think you're closer to the truth than I am, to be honest. Um, but there's still like even just like on like the top results on Google, they're saying like it reacts appropriately to its prey, and like it does have like cognitive senses, and like we don't really understand how like that thought process works. But you're right that it is about the hairs. What I heard about like certain sizes of like bugs not triggering it, maybe that's just because they're not big enough to like hit multiple hairs or something.
I'm not entirely sure.
It has no brain or nervous system, but its behavior is strikingly intelligent. Yeah, that's very vague. But still, like, where is the line? Like, like
Where
plants like
would
that make
something
you think.
think if it doesn't have a brain or nervous system? Like if let's say I can knock out your ability to see like even feel pain. Like there's been documented cases of people who have nervous system damages or even genetic issues where they have like a faulty nervous system in one way or another where they're unable to feel pain. Like I remember this story about this kid who no one could basically turn this key that was stuck in this lock. And one day, uh, a kid who was suffering from this sort of thing where he couldn't feel pain tried and attempted it. And as he was attempting it, I guess the person left the room, came back, and the kid had finished it, but their hand was really cut up and bloody. And the fact was like they exerted themselves beyond the point of physical pain, didn't notice that they had hurt themselves, and it's like really an important defense mechanism. But the idea that like you're able to remove physical pain simply by like a neurological, malformation, and we can show that it's the direct cause of a nervous system or a part of our nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And so if something doesn't have it, how would you go about saying like this thing feels pain?
I have no
I mean,
idea, to be
none of
honest.
us are really.
Like,
None of us know
if
this
it's
field
just the
really.
system, and then like the system is like detached at one point and it stops working, then you
Yeah,
don't
and now
experience
they can
it.
no longer feel pain. In the same way you can do that with like the sensation of cold or the sensation of hot or the sensation of physical pleasure.
Hmm.
Paraplegics being a good example of that sort of thing.
But like plants don't have brains, but I'm sure there's plants that react differently to hot and cold like climates and will like grow a little differently. Dude, now I want to Google it and double check myself, so I'm not just spelling off like a dumbass. But I know at least with like one thing I do know for sure is that plants, a lot of them follow the sun throughout the day. Like, and you can like rotate them, and then they'll start like swiveling differently. How do they know where the sun is when they don't have like eyes? How do they tell themselves to move without a brain? It's like there
Biochemical
there's
receptors.
at least like a basis for like these questions.
Oh,
You're
totally,
cutting out,
totally.
Will.
Oh, I'm cutting out. It's it's closer to biochemical receptors in um, a way that they're able to, in a very um, basic form, sense heat and move towards it. Sense, solar radiation and move towards it. But the idea of being able to stop and think about it or process this sort of information is different in a plant than it is in a mammal, or sorry, in an animal. And it's even different when you look at a fungus,
Hmm. But
because a fungus isn't really a plant or an animal.
in plants and animals, there are both, though, these systems where we react to stimuli. Like in a plant, it could just not have like that system fully connected, and it could stop receiving those signals and stop bending towards the light. Same way that like you cut, or that happens in a human, we don't feel pain, right? Similar.
In a similar way, but at a plant, it's more. It's sorry, I would say it's less localized than in a human being.
Mm.
So in a human being, we have specific localized systems that respond to certain sort of things. In a plant, it's a little less localized, where the whole leaf and every leaf will shift in that sort of direction, where we have one specific nerve, let's say, that controls the end of our foot.
Mhm.
And so a plant may have another leaf or be able to regrow another leaf where we are not able to regrow another foot. And if that nerve is severed, we might not be able to regrow that said nerve.
Mhm.
So it's a little different with the two,
Definitely.
but then like you were saying, with that level of intelligence that we can't judge,
Yeah.
they've been using funguses to plan out maps where they'll get like a map of a city, and we'll just print it up like it has two layers, one that's a little elevated, one that's a little bit lower. And the lower level is seeded with like a little bit of mycelium, which is the base of usual like fungus. And
Mhm.
then they'll let it grow with resource points in this map of the city where the hubs of the city are. And they will watch this like fungus grow into the most efficient structure of connecting these areas possible. It's
Hmm.
absolutely incredible.
Huh.
Nani? Wait, what is the
That's
purpose of
actually
this?
really cool.
Yeah, and they're calling it cellular intelligence.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
so
have to
that
look
like
that
these
up.
they're able to map themselves out in ways that like are far more efficient, or engineers are able to kind of like um, take as an example of.
Yeah, I mean, fungus are doing that, but ants do the exact same, well, similar things. That's animals and
Ants do,
plants,
yeah.
similar behavior. Like, I recently read about this, I forget what the species is, but there's this group of ants in, like, the Amazon, and they just, like, congeal together kind of into this giant death ball of ants, and they, like, roll at their enemies, like, straight up like cheetahs and shit, and they will just, like, climb into your orifices and eat you from the inside out, like...
Oh god.
That is terrifying, first of all, but it is
Oh no.
amazing, like, social, like, connections, like, they have to, like, all be on the same page and, like, all act together like that. How do they do that without speech? How do they do that without language? I don't know, it's
I
probably, like,
think you
pheromones or
might have been
something.
watching an Indiana Jones movie though.
What?
Just the idea of ants like specifically targeting orifices and something like that. I'm like, I haven't heard of that except for in like an Indiana Jones movie. Although that does remind me of this thing. It's
Uh,
called the Kandiru pea fish.
I don't
Yeah,
like the
I
sound of
wouldn't.
that.
I'm. I'm not gonna say anything more. But if you want to freak yourselves out on Google, there it is.
Sadly, I already know about that.
Yeah,
I think I just visualized active, like, kind of like salmons, swimming upstream. Anyway.
that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah. So like, if you want to talk about
Oh,
specific
God.
like orifice, like
Yeah, we can stop
um.
talking about orifices now.
Anyway.
No, but that is really fascinating. Like that shows that on like a bigger level, like there is like some thought then like in these like fungal colonies, like planning this shit out, or at least there's some like deep-seated like biological instinct that like leads them to efficiency. Whether or not you want to call that thought, it's still like outer stimuli is resulting in you know one, two, or three like things. You know what I mean? Is that not
Totally,
thought?
totally, yeah.
Like, what is that? I don't know. It's a
I
thin
would
line.
I would say it's coordination.
Definitely.
but I would argue whether or not it's thought. But I would definitely agree it is an example of like larger coordination within a species.
I mean, it's definitely up for debate, and I'm definitely no expert. But I think it's
I mean, it
fascinating
could
to think
evolve
about.
into thought.
One day,
I
who
mean, we're thinking
knows?
about it now.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that be sad though if you're like an engineer, like on Will's example of connecting like hubs and stuff. If your job was to do that, and they're just like, "Sorry, man, we're gonna have to let you go. We found a replacement." You're like, "Shit, can I at least know who it is? You see that fungus?
Sup?
It took your job.
The fungus among
It's
us.
better than you." Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be like, "Well, shit, now I'm worse than a fungus."
It's like, no offense, Jim, but you're kind of glum. At least he's a fun guy. Okay, I'm sorry.
That was good. That was good.
Obligatory fungus joke. I have to go there. I'm sorry. I apologize for my
No, it was
sins to
good.
our audience at home.
But yeah, there are so many like life forms, let's say, on this planet that are way more intelligent in so many different ways than humans are.
Yeah.
Like,
Different types of like whether or not intelligence is even the word, I feel like is a debate, but I understand
yeah,
what you mean. Like, yeah,
they're
100%.
better at doing things. Let's say that.
Like how like
Better at
birds
a
are so much
specific
better
job.
at like, or like okay, chimps are at like that's like a pretty easy connection because they're pretty similar to humans. Like they just have like faster like motor functions. Period. They could just think faster when it comes to like solving a Rubik's cube. Once they know how, they can do it like so much faster than a human. Or like when it comes to like swinging on a jungle gym, they can like do it so much more proficient. Like that's a form of intelligence, is like hand-eye coordination and like physical problem solving. Or like flying squirrels. Like you see like squirrels problem solve. There's this one guy on YouTube who made like this giant complicated maze, and at the end it's just a few walnuts. And you see these squirrels like go through and like hardcore parkour, like jumping from poles and shit, going through mazes, solving puzzles, like, and they get it like down pat, like pretty quickly. I think like intelligence in animals is fascinating, and intelligence in plants is a really interesting discussion. So much to it,
Yeah.
you know.
There's a lot to it. I think we can learn so much by studying animals that it would surprise most people who are unaware of how much we do study animals just to study ourselves.
I mean, a lot of humans forget that we are animals. Period. Like, I hear
Yep.
people say like, "Oh, the problem with animals is X," or like they're talking about like animals, and then for them humans
Yeah.
is like this secluded group. I'm like, you realize like we all came from like this weird fish thing, like
Like, what do you think? I'm an animal? Yeah.
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 It's like
dude.
you animal. It's like yeah, same. Like what do you want from me? It really, I think like words like that and like the different meaning. I feel like that kind of stems from like religion and maybe like our higher level like thought where like we came from somewhere or like there is some purpose or like why are we different. It's like because we are different, so like we're not animals, we are human. What, bro, you still
we were
poop.
created for a purpose.
Come on. You see rabbits pooping, you see humans pooping, come on people,
Yeah, this
think about the poop.
grand illusion of separateness.
Defy the grand illusion.
It's just arrogance, really.
Yeah.
Right up.
You know, I was
I'll
laying
agree
in
with
bed
that.
thinking. I was laying in bed at one point thinking of that, and I was like, wow, like the human race is the most arrogant thing. Like
Yeah. But
everybody is so self-centered, even if they say they're not.
are we the
It's
most
pathetic.
self-centered though? Like squids are hella intelligent. You think there's like squids at the bottom of the sea? Like these fucking fish, these fucking, they don't know. They don't know what it's like to be a squid, yo. Fucking squid gang.
Exactly. I think that's exactly what's happening on the bottom of the ocean right now. Just squids be like bitch slapping fish, like you don't know.
The great creator from the crags below. He sent
That's
us here
right,
for a
yeah.
divine
Sorry.
mission to eat the fish.
We worship the great Cthulhu. You don't know what
Put
it's
us here
like.
for a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love that
You
narrative
don't know.
now.
You don't know. Like, because like we do know that animals think, And certain animals
Mm-hmm.
have like similar parts to humans, but there's animals with different parts to humans that experience like different senses or different feelings that we can't even comprehend. The freaking mantis shrimp can see ultraviolet and thermal light. Like, imagine opening
I
your
love
freaking
that.
third eye. You can't even fathom that. I mean, we kind of can because we have like
And
representations, but no, it's not the
you
same.
can eat mantis shrimp. So I'm like, you might not be able to visualize these planes, but you can eat the creatures that can.
Exactly, and that's why humans are above animals. Yeah.
You can get that into you, you know? Collect it.
Yes. Just like the Primal Zerg and like the StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm expansion, they're just like, we must collect essence
Oh, dude, yeah,
to
yeah. It's
adapt.
like eating the heart of your enemy to collect his power, you know?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be awesome if we could do that?
It's like that. No, yeah, it's like that real Aztec thing, you know?
Yeah, Aztecs definitely believed in that. I've heard of that.
It was either Aztec or Mayan, and I'm probably butchering it.
South American something.
They had a lot of
Definitely.
interesting rituals that they had in order to like kind of get the power from other sources and put them into themselves, and I think that's kind of cool.
I'm I mean, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be like talking about cultures that we don't know too much about, but there was something similar with like the Zulu. I believe they used to like eat the warriors that they killed from other tribes, and they believed that they were like absorbing like their strength, something like that. Humans are fucking crazy. Period.
Yeah, we've done things in antiquity, I think, uh, with like mismatched places of reasoning, and then you get our reactions to things. Yeah, and then we see these reasonings and we're like, yes, and this makes us so different than animals.
Yes. The fact that I can see a jellyfish in the stars makes me hecka cool.
Yeah,
Let's be
but then
real,
yeah,
though. If you could just like chop somebody up, you're like, wow, that person's awesome, and then you just chop them up and just eat them, and you're like, now I am that person. Everyone would. There are so many people that would do that. That would just be like, I now have all of this person's talent.
And imagine the placebo. Like after they did that, they probably felt incredible. You know what I mean? They probably felt like stronger. There's probably like more adrenaline.
we
It
do
probably, like,
not
promoted.
condone eating people,
Okay.
just so everyone's aware.
Not
At no point are we condoning eating people. Do not attempt this. Do not do
But
this.
the placebo.
But if you could eat someone and get all of their intelligence
Hypothetically.
and strength,
Hypothetically.
do it. Do
No,
it.
no.
Do it.
Stop.
No, but I
Shia
think at
LaBeouf
one
it.
point human beings thought this actually worked, and I think, yeah, we've come a long way. But yeah, we think we're so different than animals. But I'm like, animals, yeah, can do superstitious stuff all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many like human behaviors that are like we're like from a societal standpoint, we're like that's crazy. How could that ever work? How could somebody get like that? But then like if you're looking at again going back to like chimps or something, like there's like cannibal chimp tribes that like tear each other apart and kill each other. So if you're a good little chimp and you do as you're told and you try to be nice, you could just freaking die because a crazy psycho chimp killed you, and then that psycho chimp is gonna pass on its genes to the next generation because it's survival of the fittest. And that's what happened with humans. If you're a sociopath and you can learn to like kill someone's partner and then like get in there, like you just biologically won. Like you are the superior. I hate where I'm going with this, but you know what I mean.
Sociopaths are better than everyone else. Just so you all know.
Yeah, obviously.
Whoa, all right.
But I mean, like they would be more likely in like a primitive society or a lack of society to survive. I think that's not like too much of a
Maybe.
stretch.
I would say that that's an example of antisocial behavior, and for a social species, that can be somewhat detrimental to the certain individual exhibiting that. For example, let's say like, you exist in a larger society, you want individuals to act as if you would. And so this idea of this like, sort of social currency is not unheard of in social species, and then like when you violate it, there can be some serious social repercussions, regardless of whether or not you're a human or even a monkey, let's say. Like infidelity has its consequences.
Definitely, and that's why like genetically, I believe like that's why like people are good at hiding things like that.
Yeah, birds are too.
Ooh, what fun facts do you
Birds?
have about birds?
Oh yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, monogamous bird species like will cheat on each other.
Ooh,
And then
Seriously?
like
I'm out to get
oh
some
yeah,
food
yeah,
for the
and
babies, honey.
It's more to increase genetic diversity, and
That's
so they'll still be loyal to their partner, and they'll still act as if the partner is the one who like raising the child, but they'll cheat like strategically on their partner.
I mean, that definitely would help genetic diversity, especially with like birds of prey. I know there's not a lot of them, so that probably
That
would
is
make
the
a big difference.
hypothesis, is that it helps with genetic diversity, but again, it's science. We don't know exactly why they do it.
So, if you ever cheat on your significant other, just say you were trying to help with genetic diversity.
Hey, at least
Hey,
it's not incest.
Hey, hey, I didn't mean to cheat on you. Well, I did, but I'm still
it's in the
loyal to
sake
you. I was
of
just trying
genetic
to spread my
diversity.
cheat.
It was
That's right.
strategic. It
That's
was
right.
strategic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
At least I didn't tell you about it. That would.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's
That
all
would have
Why
innocent
torn
are
our
now.
you?
family
I
apart.
meant it in the sake of our species. It's all good.
That's
Why
fucked
are
up.
you mad? I did it for the greater good. Why?
Oh my Jesus Lord.
Uh,
Oh my.
it's like that hot fuzz for the greater good.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe like kind of arguments like that are why like cheating isn't illegal. You know, I don't know. It's always kind of struck me as weird as like if you are married and you do have an affair, like that's not even like a little illegal. Like that's like perfectly allowed. That's always been a
How
little weird to me.
what would you make it illegal as is my question.
Yeah,
Like
what would be
what
that law?
what what offense would you make it?
I I don't know. I know in the medieval ages they used to just kill people for it, which probably isn't the best solution because people can lie.
I feel like once
Yep.
you start placing laws on that, that gets into the, like an emotional side of it. And if you're placing laws on emotions at that point, that's a bad slope to go down.
Definitely, definitely. It's like a
I'm like just
freedom thing.
but I'm like, yeah, just because someone's dishonest in a way of their personal relationship, not necessarily in a like commodity sense, but let's say in like, just a personal relationship they have with you, is that really something you can legally get at them? Like nothing was stolen from you, nothing was promised to you, no resources were exchanged, unless, you're talking about a relationship. But in that case, I'm like, yeah, like at what real point is someone cheating on you actually an offense to you?
They
And
stole my heart. Why are you
yeah,
trying to
right?
say they didn't steal anything? That's my most valuable possession. I cry every night because they stole it and they're not bringing it back. And you're gonna tell me that they didn't steal anything from me, Will?
Oh, damn.
What is your
Kids,
problem?
I feel real insensitive now.
the heck.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. I still didn't know.
It's okay, Andrew. I'm here for you. I will pat you on the head 3 times in comfort. There you go. Was that 2? I don't know. I can't count.
I'm not sure, but I'm like, yeah, no, if someone's having an emotional response, I'm like, at what point do you be like, all right, you're basically entitled to, or this action to make someone upset is illegal, and especially in the way when it comes to the like romances of the heart.
Seriously. I feel like it's a human rights argument, 100%, because exactly what you guys are saying. It's like the freedom to feel what you want to feel, and like respond to that however you want. And now that I'm thinking about it, there are countries where cheating is illegal still. Um, so I guess it really just depends. Like it's a human right argument. Like you could, but the countries where that is the case, people still do it, and people are like killed or whipped or whatever for it. And what does that really accomplish? Like not a whole lot.
Yeah,
I
it
think
still
I'd
doesn't
rather
really change us
obviously
for
live without
change
it.
our human nature,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like it took thousands, millions, whatever you want to believe, years, uh, to like condition us like this. You're not gonna be able to change it just by slapping people on the wrist.
Yeah, exactly. Some takeaways from that is like I just completely blanked out.
It's
Continue
like
on.
fuck.
I just lost it. I lost everything I was gonna say.
Take your time, boo. You got this.
I
I'm gonna
don't
take a
actually. It's
casual sip.
completely gone.
Yeah, no pressure. I'm just gonna.
There will be dead silence. It is literally nowhere in my brain.
So if you were gonna try to like, you're trying to explain these sort of things to your kids, how and what point would you feel like it's the right time to start like bringing this stuff up?
Well, like cheating?
Yeah, I mean, like
Cheating
eventually
and
you're gonna have like teenage kids and stuff like that, and they're gonna be in relationships, and then you have to like, or at least I'd hope, parents would kind of address at some point of this, the idea of infidelity and stuff like that. And it's like, do you feel like this is something you should impose on your kids or teach your kids about, or and
I
then at
mean,
what do you teach them about it? That like, go ahead.
oh no, I was listening. I was just formulating my thought. I don't know why I said anything there. I'll just
He was like mumbling to
No,
himself.
I'm just not really sure where you would even start. Like if you were trying to make a basis for a law, right?
Hmm.
For cheating on someone, but then you were, let's say, trying to like teach your kids, all right, even the basis of like when what cheating is, why it happens, and then what it does to a relationship, basically.
Yeah.
And then like the idea of whether or not it's okay morally. I'm like, how would you even like begin addressing that? I
I
have
mean, I
no
feel like
Well,
idea.
that's the thing that's not brought up enough. Like
I
like I don't
Maybe
know
not.
why. I have a thing where I just like absolutely hate people that cheat, and I do not know why. I genuinely don't. I just have like this hatred in my heart for anybody that cheats, and
it,
I don't know why. Like I've never been wronged in any way because of it, but I feel like it's not brought up enough. So not many people have like the way that society changes is through your kids, right?
mm,
So I feel like if it's never brought up, no one's ever gonna be like, "Hey," like everyone says, cheating's bad, but there's never a conversation when you're a kid being like, "Hey, you're a dickhead if you do this. Like you're ruining a life. Like if you're going to be in some kind of relationship, don't cheat. If you don't want to be in it, break it off properly, right? Don't do something like that and go behind your partner's back." I feel like that's not a conversation that's ever had,
right. I
or
mean,
even if it
But
is, very rarely.
a lot of people don't even
but I
have
think
parents to
oh,
teach
go
them
ahead.
how to like read and write, but like those lucky few who do have it, I think that is like an important like stepping stone for parenthood. And like honestly, if and when I like adopt kids, I'm definitely gonna have this conversation now. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'd start with like an analogy about following your heart. And because I always say to follow your heart, but the heart wants a lot of things that are unrealistic. You want your cake and you want to eat it too. You want to eat 30 pizzas, but if you do, you're gonna have a lot of health problems. So
You want to eat a person to get their power, but it doesn't work.
you might want to do things with like two people at once, but if you do, you know, then it's a discussion of responsibility, and it's your wants versus responsibility. Even though you want 30 pizzas, it's your duty to only eat like 8 slices tonight if you're feeling like pushing it. You know what I mean? Same thing with like cheating. Like if you really want to like see multiple people, then you need to it's your responsibility to tell other people, "Hey, like I don't want to take this seriously. I want to do things with other people." Like that's your like duty, I think, is where I'd bring it down. Like follow your heart, but it's your responsibility to check yourself before you fuck things up real bad. I didn't
Oh
mean to
yeah, but there's
interrupt you,
so many
Phil, but
complications with it. Because no, I get where you're coming from, but like my biggest question that I would try to answer for a kid is what happens after.
What do you
What
mean?
happens what happens after you cheat? What happens to you? What happens to your partner? What happens to the relationship? How do you move forward? What does moving forward mean? What does moving forward look like?
mm-hmm.
How does that work? Those are, I think, leading to cheating is one thing, and I think like most people would agree that it's not something that's healthy for a relationship, and it's not like something that's gonna really add to the value or the strength of a relationship. But the biggest questions I think come after in that sort of
That's true.
question.
And that would be the hardest part to like teach a kid about, because that is completely like circumstantial and like depends on the person, depends on the setting, and like there's general lessons that you could teach, like it's gonna break trust, and trust takes a lot of time to earn back, and it's something that like once it's broken, it can't really be put back there. So if you tell somebody one thing and you do another at a base level, you're kind of like burning bridges, and then if you burn bridges, eventually you're gonna be alone, and we're social creatures, so you're kind of just fucking yourself. which is like that was
I
me
mean-
trying to say it simply. That was really long. How do you teach
I
that
mean,
to
in a way,
kid?
yeah.
fair
there's
enough.
people that cheat all their life and they're still fine.
Yep.
Yeah,
Most-
that's what I'm talking about. The chimps that kill each other, but they're good at fitting in. It's fucked. But that's nature.
Yeah, no, it's
Nature's
this
scary.
it's this really complex thing, and I think when you're trying to, like you were saying, when you're trying to make laws about something, or if you're trying to make something illegal, I oftentimes wonder if how would I explain a law to a kid,
Hmm.
you know, because then they're gonna ask the most innocent of questions. They're gonna ask questions that like you know, they just don't know, and uh, how would I answer them in a way that I felt comfortable with, you know? And it's like I don't have a lot of these answers when it comes to like if I was going to make a law about, you know, making cheating illegal, whether or not I think it's wrong. It's like, should I make it illegal? You know,
It's a
these
very
are just
different
questions I
ask.
really, yeah, it's a huge different ask.
I mean,
Andrew, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
in order to, I feel like, take that stance, you would have to be like think that you have all the answers, and obviously no one does. But it would really take somebody with like again like that human arrogance of thinking like, oh well, everybody who does this should be treated like this. But then if you really knew all of the everything, you probably wouldn't think that way, you know, because no one can grasp the full picture, in my opinion.
I think, yeah, I think sometimes people can come to that um, diametric, or sorry, no, what is it? Dichotomous decision uh, due to religiosity. So
Yeah.
like a one or the other decision due to like their religious views, where they
Like,
think, okay, if you cheat, you're either like, or yeah, you're either a cheater or a non-cheater.
hmm.
Like you should be punished or non-punished, instead of seeing the gray area that actually exists.
Well, I would be quick to say, not exclusively religion, but just like a code of morals. Like once you like follow like a
Hmm.
certain thing, you're like these things are bad, these things are good. You know what I mean? That doesn't necessarily have to be religious, but I'd say in most situations it would be. Definitely.
Totally, totally. I think yeah, when someone refers to like morality or morals, they refer to like the criteria that they mean for distinguishing between good and bad, right and wrong.
Yeah.
And what someone's criteria might be well-being of the human species, it might be the general good of all mankind, or it might be their own specific religious view.
Or like me
And
and my
like it can
neighbor,
be,
or my family versus everyone else, or me
yeah, but
versus everyone
where you're
else.
getting this scale from, basically,
Yeah.
it's so like what you're using as the measure. So some people use like, okay, well, how bad is it for humanity's sake, or
Mm.
who is hurt the less? And some people say, well, because my deity has authority, uh, it is for this reason that this moral structure applies. And so it's like, why do you apply this criteria of right and wrong? And it's like, oh, I'm concerned about everyone's well-being, or I'm concerned about what my deity believes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think like I'm someone with a strong like moral code, but I'm not religious at all. And I base a lot of my decisions based off like the individual and individual freedoms versus how that affects people around you, because people have the right to not be bothered by your shit too much. I think like, but at the same time people should be able to like follow their hearts and do whatever they want. That's how it is for me. I don't know about you guys. But I don't think too much about for the betterment of all mankind.
I mean, not many people do.
That's too
No,
big
no,
for
I
me.
don't think
Like
so.
I don't have that kind of influence. Maybe I can affect a few people close to me, and that would be incredible. But I don't bother
Yeah,
thinking
totally,
about that
totally.
stuff for the most part. It's just not applicable. If I were like a judge, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Judge.
What do you base your morals off of? Okay.
My morals?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where they're at, if I'm gonna be honest. Like,
That's valid.
I'd like to say I'm a scumbag, but like I'm not. Like, I want to be a somewhat nice person, but at the same time, I don't give a shit about like anybody or like any real consequence.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but I'm nice, and I try not to, step and getting messed. Wow, I just had a stroke. Get in people's way.
So that would be like a moral code based upon the individual, right?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, which is power to you. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of the same as what I'm saying is like you're not trying to like push that onto other people because you probably don't think that you have the right to tell other people how to live, which is good.
Yeah.
I think that's healthy.
Cause like I mean, where I stand with it, like I'm morally not the greatest. Like if somebody was like, you know what, let's go rob that Brinks truck, I'd be like, alright, as long as nobody gets hurt in it.
that's
So like
that's up to the individual to like.
I'm still a bad person, but like I'm not like terrible.
That's subjective. Okay, and that's very brave of you to just like say that. And like I'm right there with you. Like I think we all have souls like Swiss cheese. I think everybody has like a good side and a bad side, and it's up to us to like focus our energy on making good choices. Like if I listened to every bad thing that happened in my head, I'd be in jail. Period. Or I'd be dead. Like, and that it is what it is, really.
I mean, that's kind of another thing I wanted to get into, but right now we don't really have that much time. Was basically like
We can make time.
I forgot. I forgot actually. Doesn't Will have to be gone in like 7 minutes?
Oh.
Yeah.
True. True.
I think me and Crystal both have a prior commitment later this evening. But no, like you were saying, kind of what's the base of someone's like morality and stuff we're going through. I'm like, yeah, I think you take an evaluation of the action that you're going to make and you do it in response to how other individuals are going to feel, and you kind of make an assessment of like, is this something that I would want to be subjected to at some regard? And so you kind of put yourself in that sort of situation.
Definitely.
You create systems where it's fair regardless of where you stand or who you are or what you identify with. And those are kind of systems. So like no matter what you end up as or who in the spectrum you end up as, you'd want to participate in the system. And that's how you should try to create a system. So it's fair for as many people participating as possible.
Well,
And then like that's where you can try to generate moral rules from.
I think
Is to be like, well, I care about as many people participating as possible.
you have a lot of empathy within you, but not everyone does, and I don't think everyone makes their decisions based off that. I feel like
No. I'm not just saying my own decisions. I know I haven't personally made these decisions always in the past, but what I'm saying is like if I was gonna construct a moral code, that's what I would be aiming it towards.
so like
Not always saying that I fall perfectly in line with it, because I think as an individual I'd always falter beyond my own standard, but the idea of trying to create a standard that I think is something worthy of living up to.
I get that. So do you think that you base your morals off of like the betterment of the general populace then? It's kind of what it sounds like.
I think I base it on a rational appropriation of my own actions and their effects on my surroundings. And so, like, yeah, a moral thing is only moral when it pertains to how it affects other sort of individuals in this reality. And so I have to kind of rationalize my own actions in relation to them. But beyond that, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's very different from me because like whether or not my actions affect somebody else, I get like mad at myself over something if I just think it's wrong. If I just think like I shouldn't have done that or I shouldn't have thought that was shitty, like I like beat myself up about it because for me it's not about how I affect other people. It's about I want to be a better person. I want to hold myself to a high moral standing. But
Is
anyway,
that if you're not affecting another person, is it a moral issue?
I think so.
I mean, if you're not specifically
Like yeah,
affecting
like you
one
can make
person.
you can make a wrong decision, let's say on like a test or something, or like you can make a wrong decision on how you measured something, right? And then be mad at yourself that you made that wrong decision, but it's only moral when it starts to affect another thing. If it's just you in a vacuum, if it's just you and your own interactions with yourself, is it really a moral interaction?
I don't feel like morals can even be brought up in that kind of situation.
Yeah. So I'm like, how when it's just you is it a moral situation? It has to involve
Well,
someone or something external.
Like, to tie back,
the
like,
well, yeah.
if there was
Sorry,
no
sorry.
one else in the world and there was that Brinks truck there and I was like, I want to rob that. Is that morally wrong if I'm the only other person on the planet?
Well, that depends
Like,
on your moral compass, your moral code. Like to myself, like it's like I have like a not like the 10 commandments, but like a list of like ideals that I hold myself to. And whether or not that affects anybody else, if I go against that, I would consider it immoral.
Okay. So it's not necessarily whether or not it affects anyone regardless. It's more of a personal standard you hold upon yourself.
Yes.
What do you think creates or is the foundation of this personal standard?
Um, I have put a lot of thought into it, but I'd say the basis would probably be guilt.
That's profound.
I don't know about that.
All right, I was like, damn, that's a really self-aware statement to make, but I'm like, damn.
Well, anything I say in the situation is gonna sound like I'm a douchebag. But
No, it just
I
you're sounding
literally
very
just
humble
said I
for a
don't
minute.
give
well, I'm glad.
If you
Yeah,
sound like
no.
a douchebag, it's fine because I literally just said I don't care and I'd rob trucks. So
I mean that's valid.
you're
but,
you're
like...
in the clear. Whatever you say at this point, it's gonna be better than me.
I guess so. I mean, I would
I mean,
like to
robbing
consider
trucks just
myself better
sounds
than
honest.
You know, like speaking in very simple like Dungeons and Dragons terms. Like if you were by nature like a chaotic evil person, I would consider you completely equal to me. Like I don't judge people based upon their instincts. I judge them based upon their actions.
Right, right.
So just saying that you have those thoughts, like to me, I think like in very simple terms, I'm kind of chaotic neutral, like, but I still think I'm a good person. Like I like to disturb shit, and like I'm quite selfish at times, and I like to like focus on myself before I focus on other things. But at times I find that very difficult. It's obviously depending on circumstances, situations, and again, like a moral compass. So I try not to generalize people with blanket terms like that, and I just judge you based on your actions. So Andrew, even though you want to rob that truck, you fucking didn't. So I respect you.
Cops, please! I don't want to rob Brinks. It's fine. It's all just a joke.
The products are just really good. I don't even know what company that is.
No, I like that though, Crystal. I think uh, you really hit upon like aspect of humanity which I find incredibly beautiful, which is our guilt. It's like we we are the only species that will see how we're affecting the world and feel bad for it. We're the only species that'll see how we're, affecting ourselves and each other and feel bad for it. It's like we're so self-reflective like that, and it's such a human thing to feel that way, and it's part of like my humanity, which I love.
Definitely.
Yeah, we get to feel guilty, and what other species gets to do that?
It is kind of beautiful, I think.
Yeah, I think it creates a lot of interesting circumstance.
Awesome.
So I guess the takeaway could be that everybody wants to rob things, but they feel guilty. It's okay
Just a
to
little,
cheat
just
as
a
long as
little.
it's strategic.
Yeah.
And cannibalism is awesome as long as you're gaining their power.
As long as it's placebo. Also, boom.
Boom. Yeah. As long as you feel guilty, just a little.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're ending this on kind of a positive note. And before we do, I'd like if we could squeeze in one kind of smaller segment here, which is E3 just happened. Are you guys excited about anything from E3? Because I am. I will tell you right now.
Outer Worlds 2.
Outer Worlds.
Hell yes.
Or,
Outer Worlds 2. That's going to be amazing, and I hope it becomes a huge franchise.
Speaking of the number 2,
Hell
Breath
yeah.
of the Wild 2 looks freaking incredible. I'm so excited, dude. Breath of the Wild 2 is
Yeah.
hype. And a new Metroid game was actually announced, which fucking blew my mind. The new Bethesda game.
Can we get a title drop?
open
Because
world.
I haven't heard of this one yet.
The Metroid one. It's 2D. Well, obviously it's a new game. What the fuck? But it's
Oh, it's 2D, eh?
Yeah, just like the old ones, but now.
Showing my Canadian nature.
Yeah, it's so exciting, dude. I don't even know
Crazy,
what it's called.
eh?
I forgot. But it's so good. Definitely look it up, guys. If you like the 2D Metroid games, it looks like a return to formula and an upgrade. Like new mechanics, new guns. Samus got a new suit of armor, which I'm not sure how I feel about how it looks personally, but I'm excited because it's new and it's different. And Metroid is an awesome game franchise.
And if you like games at all, check out E3. Look at the highlights.
Do it.
There was some awesome stuff that'll be coming out.
Definitely.
Hell yeah.
Space Rim or whatever it's called.
What?
It's Bethesda's making an open world
Oh
game
yeah,
in
yeah,
space.
yeah.
Kind of like a more realistic take on space
Oh,
travel.
Starfield.
Starfield, yeah.
Starfield,
Yep.
that's what it's
Space Rim.
called.
what did I
Starfield.
say? Skyrim. And
Yeah, I
space.
wish them the best of luck. 4 years in development. It'll come out next year, they're saying. So
Right.
Really?
yeah, next year November. That's
I hope it gets delayed, and I hope
supposed
it's really good.
same here. Same. Well, yeah. I mean, no delay, but I hope it's really good.
Yeah.
I hope it gets delayed at least 6 years. I hope it's like Final Fantasy VII Remake and it takes 10, 15 years to come out.
Stop.
Yeah. Oh, they showed it like years ago on E3 already. I think it was like what 2020 or 2018 they showed it for the first time in Starfield, and then, yeah, they teased it, and now they have a little bit more of a trailer. But I just love the Outer Worlds 2 trailer where it's like, all we have done yet is the title.
Yeah. We have
But look at how cool the font is.
character pen.
Yeah, yeah.
Character
But this
pen,
might not
obviously
be in the
haven't
game.
developed the character.
It was so good. It was so like self-aware, and I'm like, that's what we need is like a return to form, self-aware kind of like meta thing. That'd be perfect.
Beautiful. Well, that's all, folks. That's all she wrote. That's it for the show. Anything you guys want to
Thanks
say?
for tuning in.
Hey, yeah.
Don't cause too much mischief in mayhem, you magical badlands. I forgot where my camera was. We will catch you next time on
in
the
this
Boomits
direction.
Podcast.
Boom. Hope
Woo,
you guys had
woo.
a good time.
It was nice talking to you. Hallelujah. Goodbye.
That's right. Either down there, up there, to the side.
Wherever you may be.
Underneath,
May our wisdom.
One of the options, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for
in
joining
the
us.
ground.
Hasta la bye bye.
In the ground.